You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Right now at 7, we're going to take it back over to Soaring Heights Elementary to learn more about their first day of school.
Also, authorities are on the hunt for a man responsible for a shooting in Frontenac, Kansas.
And we are continuing with alert days through Friday now with triple digits and heat index values as high as 120 again. We'll take another look at that forecast coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Yesterday was the first day of school for many students across the area, including in Joplin.
By the way, welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's a little after 7 a.m.
Welcome
and
good morning.
Excited about kids getting back to school.
Education.
I've got kids, so I was very excited for them to get back to school. They may not have been. But
I don't. I'm still excited.
I still, here's the thing. Even at my age, I go into Walmart and I see the back to school signs in July, and I still get that same feeling I got as a kid.
PTSD. Yeah.
You're like, oh.
It's the worst, but it's great. The kids have
absolutely.
great schools, great teachers this year, ready to kick off another amazing year.
Yeah, Joplin schools, of course, started yesterday across the area, and KOAM's Amber Jenkins was at Soaring Heights Elementary yesterday morning as classes got underway.
The first day of school can be hectic, especially when meeting teachers and new friends. However, one fifth grader at Soaring Heights say the first day also means first impressions.
What's going to be different is that I'm going to make everybody say that, who's that kid, or who's that kid.
While EJ is focused on being that guy at school, his dad is proud to watch his confidence grow.
The only reason my dad was excited because he wanted to see how I look in the mirror whenever I put on my clothes and how I look.
EJ is now a fifth grader, and that means he's a role model for younger students. He wants to take the fifth grade to the next level.
That fourth grade last year was the best, and I was in fourth grade last year, and so I was part of that. And now we want to make fifth grade the next level, and then keep going and keep going.
So when the students enter the building, it kind of feels like the reward that we have someone who we actually get to share all this knowledge and all this planning, and we've worked so hard to connect and figure out ways to help them grow.
Although this is the first day of school, teachers are already cementing this year's motto.
Our motto for our staff and what we're going to tell our students is rise up and move forward, and we have a lot of cool ideas to songs, cool themes, but that's kind of what we're going to say to each other day in and day out is rise up and move forward together.
Reporting in Joplin, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
The principal of Soaring Heights Elementary says they have several goals this year.
And one of those they're focusing on is improving attendance. I'm working on improving my voice.
Yes, and speech.
There we go. Yeah, important things, especially for this type of job. And I really need to have a good voice to tell you about the dangerous heat we're continuing to see. In fact, speaking of Joplin schools, we got a message yesterday. I imagine other districts are probably doing similar things, that for elementary age students in Joplin, no recess for the rest of this week. And that is a wise precaution given the dangerous heat we will continue to see. And that's why we have, goodness, I'm about ready to just give up. Well, that's why we still have, though, the excessive heat warnings as we go into southeast Kansas, southwest Missouri until 10 o'clock Thursday. And for northeast Oklahoma, again, Tulsa doing it a couple of days at a time. So it'll go through 8 o'clock this evening and then go back into effect tomorrow and run through 8 o'clock Wednesday. And then, again, I imagine those will be reissued. So, again, the top safety tip for this dangerous heat is if you don't have to be outside, don't. Otherwise, you've got to stay hydrated, take frequent breaks, limit those strenuous outdoor activities, wear lightweight, light-colored clothes, and check on elderly, the pets, and, of course, children, because we're at that point. Heat index values again today, potentially 120 degrees, making heat exhaustion likely, heat stroke possible, and, honestly, heat stroke highly likely for the more susceptible age groups with this kind of heat across the area. So as we well, that's not what I wanted to show you, but we'll show you this real quick. Just a quick view of currents. 80 in Joplin feels like 86, and around the region we have heat index values upper 80s near 90, 75 Iola, 77 Fort Scott, 79 Miami, 81 Neosho. We'll have another full look at your forecast and when some relief will get here in a few more minutes. Caitlin.
The Kansas Highway Patrol says they've identified the vehicle and the driver they say were involved in a fatal hit and run in Galena Saturday night. This is a surveillance image of that vehicle, a Ford Raptor truck. The crash happened around 11:30 p.m. Saturday on State Highway 66 at milepost 2.9 on the western edge of Galena. Authorities say it involved that truck and a pedestrian, this man, 6-year-old Gary LaTurner of Galena. LaTurner was killed in the crash. His daughter says a lot of people are reaching out to the family.
I mean, hundreds of people have contacted me that I've never even met that have a crazy or funny story about my dad, and it's really shown me with how many shares things have gotten that this town wanted justice for my father just as much as me and my family.
Gary was a fixture in the community. Ever since I was a little kid, he's walked around town, and every time he sees the kids out and about throughout town, he'll stop by and entertain them for a little bit.
There's no word on whether authorities have charged a suspect in that case. And authorities are looking for a man and woman in connection with an incident involving gunfire in Frontenac, Kansas, Friday evening. It began at 212 West Lincoln Street, where resident Kenneth Phillips says his motorcycle had been pushed over, and he then said that somebody fled in a white SUV. Phillips says as he ran after the SUV, the driver, 28-year-old Sage Sprague of Pittsburgh, rolled down his window and fired a shot at Phillips in the yard of 601 Mount Carmel Road. Phillips was not hurt. Authorities have since found the suspect's vehicle in Cherokee, Kansas. They're still looking for Sprague and his suspected passenger, 27-year-old Kristen Romsberg of Weir, Kansas. Yesterday was National Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day. Law enforcement, the Kansas Congressional Delegation, and community partners are uniting to bring awareness of fentanyl dangers to the state. One mother in Pittsburgh, Kyle Campiti, lost her son Cooper to a fentanyl poisoning in April. She used yesterday to spread awareness and to help save lives, plus honor her son.
I don't want other people to have to do this. You know, I want my husband, who's a special agent for the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, has spent his entire adult career of 20 plus years fighting the war on drugs.
The campaign is #OnePillCanKill. The initiative will continue all week, sharing resources and information about the deadly drug. Up next, why putting your kid into sports is a good thing for them.
And later, AI can create a lot, including art. But what if AI could start mind reading? You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Be right back. But first, another live look from down in Diamond, as today is their first day back at school.
In Health Watch this morning, putting kids into sports can not only help them stay active, but also might help boost their social and teamworking skills. Dr. Matthew Sacco with Cleveland Clinic says kids can learn how to solve problems through sports. He says they can learn how to manage their feelings when working with teammates and dealing with team losses. If your child is starting a sport for the first time, Dr. Sacco recommends putting them in rec league, which is less intimidating and difficult. This might help them from wanting to quit prematurely, and if they try a new sport but decide they don't like it, Dr. Sacco says that's fine too. He says it's good for kids to try new things. Georgia's ban on gender-affirming care for transgender youth, which took effect on July 1st, has been temporarily blocked. On Sunday, a federal judge ordered state officials to stop enforcing a key provision of the SB 140 law. It bars licensed medical professionals in Georgia from providing patients under the age of 18 with cross-sex hormone therapy. The judge said that is unlikely constitutional, and she said her order will remain in effect pending trial or until further order of the court. According to the complaint, the legal challenge was brought in late June by 4 transgender youth in the state and their families, as well as an advocacy group. And it's not quite fall yet, but health officials are already bracing for 3 major viruses that may start spreading at the same time in the U.S. But this year, there's a new weapon in the fight against these respiratory illnesses. Mandy Gaither has more on what these health experts say you should do before cold and flu season.
Excuse me. It's another potential triple threat of viruses, the flu, COVID-19, and RSV. All three may hit the U.S. together this fall, but this year there's a vaccine for all of them. When to get them varies based on age.
If you're under the age of 60, before Halloween, you should get your flu shot. Late September for COVID, that's when that new booster is expected to come out. It is not an exact match for what is currently circulating, dominantly circulating in the country, but it's still good protection, especially for people who are vulnerable.
The U.S. is already seeing an uptick in COVID-19 cases, although it's still unclear exactly how many cases, as fewer tests are being taken. There are patches of the country in red, with a more significant increase in hospitalizations, a few states with numbers going down, and others staying stable. Still, COVID-19 hospital admissions are lower than in years past.
The numbers are going up, but August of this year, right now, is about a quarter of what August of last year was.
The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say if you test positive for COVID-19, isolate for 5 days. On day 6, isolation can end if symptoms improve. The agency does recommend masking until there are 2 negative tests taken 48 hours apart.
It's a little complicated, but really the first 5 days, that's when you're most infectious. That's when you should stay home.
Experts predict that illnesses like RSV and the flu, which are both at very low levels now, will settle back into their seasonal patterns this year. COVID-19 cases could have a winter surge, but many experts don't expect it to reach the heights of recent years unless the coronavirus throws us a wild card in the form of a new variant.
And we continue to have alert days through Friday for that dangerous heat out there. We've got some haze, got some fog. We're going to take a look at that forecast and when we'll see some relief here a little later. And coming up, we'll also meet a man who loved Gran Turismo so much that he became an actual race car driver. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:16 now on this Tuesday morning. Excessive heat warnings continue southeast Kansas, southwest Missouri through 10 o'clock Thursday night. And then again, Wednesday, 8 p.m. for northeast Oklahoma. So it'll expire at 8 o'clock this evening. Come back into effect tomorrow and go through 8 p.m. tomorrow evening. Odds are they'll continue to be extended. So again, if you don't have to be outdoors, don't. But if for any reason your job, whatever the case may be, puts you outside, make sure you're staying hydrated, taking frequent breaks, limit strenuous outdoor activities, wear the lightweight, light-colored clothing, check on the elderly, the pets, and your children. As I've mentioned through the morning, I would imagine some other districts doing this, but Joplin elementary age students, no outdoor recess for the rest of this week because of this dangerous heat. Heat exhaustion likely, heat stroke possible as our heat index values once again approach 120 degrees out there, so you've got to take it easy. Additionally, if you're driving, because of all the humidity and moisture in the air, we've got patchy fog across the area, and in some cases, say in Bourbon County around Fort Scott heading into Vernon County in Missouri, we've got some dense fog out there, so make sure you're taking it slow, giving yourself time to get where you're going. We are at 80 in Joplin at 7:17 in the morning. Feels like 86. Dew point humidity both up there, quite high. Temperatures around the area, of course, they've been warm all morning. They've been warm all night. 75 Iola, 77 in Fort Scott, 81 Neodesha, 78 Pittsburgh, Chetopa, 79 Miami, 81 in Neosho. We take a look at those dew points. They're in the upper 70s across the area, even around the 80-degree mark out there, which puts us beyond soupy into the miserable range and giving us heat index values across the area mid to upper 80s. So again, our highs today, upper 90s, lower 100s once again. We'll hold on to triple digits through at least Friday at this point, but humidity levels begin to drop toward the end of the week. So even though it's still hot, at least our heat index values will be a little bit better by Friday. And then we'll see some scattered thunderstorm chances Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and better temperatures, upper 80s and lower 90s, so relief is on the way. Well, you probably know artificial intelligence can write essays, create music, and even make pictures. But what if the technology was also able to predict what your brain was thinking? Jackie Ibanez takes a look at the AI program researchers say can read minds.
How comfortable would you be if artificial intelligence could read your mind? Well, researchers in Singapore say it's already a reality, sort of. So how does it work? A team from the National University of Singapore puts study participants inside an MRI machine. There, each person is shown more than 1,000 images of various foods, animals, activities, and more.
Each lasts for 9 seconds with 9 seconds break in between.
The MRI machine takes brain scans while they look at each picture. Those scans are then coded so they can be processed by an artificial intelligence program which generates images. The goal is to get the AI to understand the link between the person's brain scans and the images they're shown.
It can understand your brain activities, just like ChatGPT understands the natural languages of humans.
Researchers say the mind-reading magic happens when people return for a second MRI session. This time, the AI takes the new brain scans and creates an image of what it thinks the person could be looking at, using what it learned from the first set of brain scans to determine what picture it should make.
So that's basically how we can read your mind.
The team hopes to develop their AI so it can be incorporated into other technology, like virtual reality headsets, so people can move around the metaverse with their minds instead of having to use controllers. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
There's not one part of that seems like it's a good idea, but okay. It is very fascinating, though, and the way that AI is continuing to develop, in all seriousness, it's just kind of wild. And to think that, like they said, you could control your movements in a game or in the metaverse with your mind instead of physical controllers. Pretty fascinating stuff. Well, coming up, it was back to school for Joplin students yesterday. We're going to have a little more on their first day back right after this. Well, the new action-packed sports drama Gran Turismo, based on a true story, is in theaters nationwide this week. It follows a player who enters a competition which leads him all the way to the real racetrack.
We spoke with him as well as cast from the film prior to the SAG-AFTRA strike. Here's Ashley Dvorkin.
The 10 of you are the best Gran Turismo players in the world.
Racing onto screens is Gran Turismo, based on a true story about gamer-turned-professional race car driver Jan Martinborough. The sports drama stars David Harbour, Orlando Bloom, and Archie Madekwe, who takes the wheel as Martinborough.
I couldn't drive before I did the film, and I got my license a week before I arrived. I mean, I clocked up so many hours playing Gran Turismo. I was just going round and round and round night after night after night, and now I'm pretty good.
Martinborough was his stunt driver.
It was very strange. I think it's the first that's ever been done, playing yourself in your own biopic. I was aware that there's cameras on me all the time.
Harbour admits he's not a car enthusiast.
New York City boy, Brooklyn subway and walking all the time.
His job lets him immerse in these worlds.
It was event filmmaking because most of what you see in the film is real.
He also shared how he relates to the underdog part of the story.
You'd have all your friends who were in Facebook back then who'd start to have families, and they'd be buying a house, and you'd be like barely able to pay your rent because you're trying to scrape together something and trying to make it the next audition. And you think like a saner person would just kind of give up and just say like, have an easy life, man. What are you doing? But there's something about that, like, I'll show you, that lives deep, and took me many years to cash in on that card. I don't know that it was worth it. And I know it wouldn't have been worth it if I didn't really love the thing, which is what really ultimately makes it worth it.
In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
Certainly incredible to be able to, have that dream, get to it, and
Yep.
now they got a movie about this going on.
It is. It's fascinating. I look forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
Well, coming up, we'll have more about a broadband study that's happening in Jasper County, Missouri.
And we are continuing with our alert days in the dangerous heat. Look at this fog outside the station. We got that to deal with. It's another miserable day in the 4 states. We're going to take a look at that forecast when we come back.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:28 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy. A piece of Southwest Missouri history has a new owner. The historic Reddings Mill Inn hit the auction block in Newton County, Missouri. Built back in 1872, the inn traded hands a few times over the years before ending up with its current owner, who's actually a former owner. The final bid went for $380,000. And a new poll finds that the Tooth Fairy is welcome in most homes. And I am in the upside down. I look like I'm in Stranger Things right now, huh? L. Not only is the Tooth Fairy welcome in 81% of homes, 1 in 4 children go to bed early in anticipation of the Tooth Fairy's arrival. Parents also love that the Tooth Fairy promotes good oral health in their children. Another fun fact is that the value of a tooth has gone up 16%. On average, the value of a tooth went up from $5.36 to $6.23. Furthermore, 20% of kids who receive money from the Tooth Fairy also received a physical gift from each tooth they lost. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly announces the capacity for child care in the state has increased by only 7,000 cents. And this expansion includes licensed daycare homes, group daycare homes, preschools, child care centers, and school-age and drop-in programs. Earlier this summer, Governor Kelly announced funding awards to 52 state organizations to create new sustainable, high-quality licensed child care slots across the state. Provider applications have also increased by 433% in less than a year.
Well, we're continuing to deal with the dangerous heat across the areas. We've mentioned excessive heat warnings through 10 o'clock Thursday for Kansas and Missouri, and through 8 o'clock this evening, and then again 8 o'clock tomorrow evening in northeast Oklahoma. But again, those will very likely be extended. So, of course, if you do have to be outdoors, which we don't recommend, you got to stay hydrated, take those breaks, limit the outdoor activities, wear lightweight, light-colored clothing, and keep an eye on the elderly, pets, and children. And this is why heat index values today close to 120, heat exhaustion likely, heat stroke possible out there. And then we're dealing with fog on top of everything else, just like yesterday, because our dew-point humidity levels are so high. We're at almost zero visibility in Fort Scott, and as you can see, at denser fog across Bourbon and Vernon counties. So Highway 54, parts of I-49, and Highway 69. You got to be careful out there and slow down. Quick look off toward the north, toward Pittsburgh from the KDOT camera. You can see some of that dense fog, and then one to show you real quick outside our studio. Where'd it go? There was denser fog than this a moment ago, but you can still see, though, we can't see much beyond the highway here at KOAM north of Crestline, so slow down, give yourself plenty of time. Got a lot to talk about in your forecast. We'll have another complete look at that here in a few more minutes. Caitlin.
A nearly $500,000 grant coupled with a $500,000 loan will help provide high-speed internet in more of southeast Kansas. The plan will connect 228 million people, 6 businesses and 39 farms in Labette and Montgomery counties. Wave Wireless will make high-speed internet affordable through participation in the Federal Communications Commission's Affordability Connectivity Program. The program aims to serve socially vulnerable communities, which are most rural, remote, and underserved communities. And in Missouri, Jasper County launches an initiative to better understand internet broadband gaps. The results will help the county develop a strategy to improve internet access and connectivity for its residents, businesses, farms, and institutions. The organizers say that the critical component of the study is public input, so the County Commission is asking for the public's help to spread the word. If you'd like to participate in this study, head over to KOAM and newsnow.com, where we provided links for businesses and residents. And it was the first day of school for students in Joplin yesterday. Students at Soaring Heights Elementary arrived bright and early for the big day. We spoke to one 5th grader about why it's important to start the first day of school on the right foot.
That 4th grade last year was the best, and I was in 4th grade last year, and so I was part of that. And now we want to make 5th grade the next level, and then keep going and keep going.
So when the students enter the building, it kind of feels like the reward that we have someone who we actually get to share all this knowledge and all this planning, and we've worked so hard to connect and figure out ways to help them grow.
The principal of Soaring Heights Elementary says they have several goals this year. One, they're focusing on improving attendance. An Arkansas school board has decided that an AP African American Studies course will be offered in the Little Rock School District for college credit. It's a sharp break from state education officials who earlier this month said students enrolled in the program would not receive credits towards graduation. Nearly 100 students at Central High School had reportedly enrolled in the course this year. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up on this half hour of the KOAM Morning News. Charlene Patton joins us all the way from Topeka and shows us how to make a summer coffee cake. You don't want to miss it.
And we're, of course, keeping an eye on the fog across the area and the dangerous heat as it continues through the week. We'll have another look at your forecast a little later. But first, we've got ourselves a live look from Diamond, Missouri, as today is their first day back at school. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Our good friend Charlene Patton from the Kansas Soybean Commission coming down all the way from Topeka. We're so glad you're here. We've been doing some really amazing recipes in the garden, but this time we're going to the orchard.
We are. We're going to pick some apricots and have this wonderful apricot summer coffee cake. What I have in here is our all-purpose flour, 2 cups, and we also have the granulated sugar.
Okay.
I'm going to add in baking powder, baking soda, and salt to this. And you are going to start the liquid ingredients, which you have 2 eggs. You're going to add the 1 cup of soy milk and 1 teaspoon of vanilla.
Okay, do I want to add those now?
Yep,
okay.
you can.
I just want to
and
make sure. I don't want to make it raw.
Mix that all together. And I have some orange zest that I'm going to add into our mixture here. And I've also got 1/2 cup of margarine that I've cut it into 2 pieces here. And I'm using a pastry blender. And I'm just going to kind of blend that. We call cutting it in. If you don't have the pastry blender, this works really handy. But you could use 2 knives. You could use a fork. And another great activity for kids, give them a bigger bowl, but let them go to work and make lots of crumbs.
Okay.
And how are you doing?
I think I'm doing all right. It looks mixed. It's looking okay so far.
Good, good.
It's still a liquid.
If I was at home, I'd probably do this just a little bit longer. But since we're here, we're going to go ahead and add your mixture to my mixture. Great. And I'll just stir this together. And then what we're going to do, I'll lay this over here so that we'll have that as we do it, is that we just have a greased, and this is like an 8, you could use 8 or 9 inch baking dish there.
Okay.
But grease that, and then we're going to add this coffee cake mixture to that. So I'll let you hold that up, and we'll just add that in. Can we do that?
Yeah, I think we can.
Well, we make a pretty good team, don't we?
Yeah, we're not doing too bad here.
Great job there. And if we were at home, we would make sure we got all of it out. We'd use a rubber spatula there to get all of it there. But this gives us the idea of what we're doing. Just spread that there. And then I have taken 3 apricots. Now at home, for the one we have on display there, I layered them so that we had nice rows. And gosh, kids could make all kinds of designs, but we'll just go ahead and add that to save time with our apricots. And I did not take the peel off. We were getting more good nutrition. And then it has a crumb topping that goes on the top of it. So we'll just
well, if they want to come out, there we go. Oh, wow,
just
that looks
go
great.
ahead and put that on the top so that that will bake with it. And then this is going to bake at 350 degrees for about 50 minutes. Make sure you use a tester to make sure that it comes out clean so that it's done. And then you have this wonderful moist coffee cake here with that wonderful apricot topping.
It looks
and
amazing.
It will make about 9 servings there. So a great summer coffee cake.
Looks fantastic. So, of course, as always, where can folks go if they want to find out more?
They should go to our website at kansassoybeans.org, or they can also call the 800 number 877-KS-SOYBEAN.
All right. And, of course, we'll have this on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com, and we will be back with more right after this. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:42 now on this Tuesday morning. So we've got the excessive heat warnings that continue through at least Thursday for the majority of the area. We're talking heat index values today, once again approaching 120 degrees. So you've got to take precautions. And honestly, again, if you don't have to be outside, don't be outside. It's too dangerous for this kind of heat. We're sitting at 80 in Joplin right now. Clear skies out there. We have some haze. We have some fog across the area, so you need to watch out for that as well. Feels like 86. Dew point, humidity, both up there at uncomfortable levels. Temperatures around the region are warm. Some of it's a little cooler. Iola, 74. That's not bad, but the rest of us, we've got 80 in Neodesha, Chanute, Parsons, Chatopa, 81, Miami, 78, Pittsburgh, 80 in Carthage, and 79 in Neosho and Monette. Then we take into account those dew points, which are at miserable levels. That's not even on our scale. We got upper 70s and 80-degree dew points out there, and this is what I mean. Not even on our scale in some of this. So from soupy to miserable is where we're at, and that's still giving us heat index values approaching 90 in some locations like Miami and Columbus, both up there. So we've got to contend with that as the morning progresses. We'll have the mostly clear to partly cloudy skies reaching about 90 by 11 this morning. Highs today, like yesterday, upper 90s, lower 100s out there with those dangerous heat index values. And we'll hold on to the mostly clear skies through the evening. No relief here either. And our overnight lows warm once again back into the upper 70s and lower 80s. Triple digits continue through Friday, hence our alert days. The good news is as we get closer to Friday, our humidity levels begin to drop a bit, so heat index values are only looking to be maybe a couple of 3 degrees above this. It's still hot, but at least it won't be as miserable. And then by the weekend, scattered thunderstorm chances Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Temperatures much more manageable, upper 80s, lower 90s. Let's check your forecast. Now, here's Caitlin with the check of Consumer Watch.
Thanks, Chris. Well, American workers want record high wages to start a new job. That's according to a new survey by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York released on Monday. It shows that the average lowest wage rate at which a worker would be willing to accept a new job increased to more than $78,000 last month. That is up nearly 8% from July 6 of last year. The survey also shows that college graduates and men are the ones who are demanding more money. In fact, the survey showed that women's expectations were nearly $25,000 below what men expected. Economists are citing the labor market and the economy, including inflation, as part of the reason for the higher wage expectations. And you may not know this name, but computer users have likely used his products. The man who co-founded Adobe, John Warnock, has died. He started the company in 1982 with the late Charles Geschke. Together, they helped transform Adobe into a software powerhouse that became the backbone of the internet. Some of their groundbreaking innovations included the creation of the PDF, Illustrator, Acrobat, Photoshop, and Premiere Pro. Warnock was Adobe's CEO until 2000 and continued as chairman of the board until 2017. When he died, he was still a member of the company's board of directors. Adobe did not release a cause of his death. Warnock was 82 years old. Is the American shopping mall dead? Well, maybe not. Malls appear to be adapting to a new retail environment, and in many cases with good success. A new market analysis reveals many malls now report strong occupancy levels, along with bigger crowds than even before the pandemic. A Coresight research study shows foot traffic in more affluent areas, so-called high-tier malls, was up by 12% last year compared to 2019. Inside lower-tier malls, shopper levels are up 10%. Both mall categories are seeing annual growth rates from 5 to 9%. And we'll be right back with more after this, but first, let's take a look at the market prices before the opening bell. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. The Kansas Highway Patrol says they've identified the vehicle and the driver they say were involved in a fatal hit and run in Galena Saturday night. Authorities say it involved that truck and a pedestrian. This man, 60-year-old Gary LaTurner of Galena. LaTurner was killed in the crash. His daughter says a lot of people are reaching out to the family, and there's no word on whether authorities have charged a suspect in that case. Authorities are looking for a man and woman in connection with an incident involving gunfire in Frontenac, Kansas Friday evening. It began at 212 West Lincoln Street, where resident Kenneth Phillips says his motorcycle had been pushed over and someone fled in a white SUV. Phillips says as he ran after the SUV, the driver, 28-year-old Sage Sprague of Pittsburgh, rolled down his window and fired a shot at Phillips in the yard of 601 Mount Carmel Road. Phillips was not hurt. Authorities have since found the suspect's vehicle in Cherokee, Kansas. They're still looking for Sprague and his suspected passenger, 27-year-old Kristen Romsberg of Weir, Kansas. Yesterday was National Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day. Law enforcement, the Kansas Congressional Delegation, and community partners are uniting to bring awareness of fentanyl dangers to the state. One mother in Pittsburgh, Kyle Capiti, lost her son Cooper to a fentanyl poisoning in April. She used yesterday to spread awareness to help save lives and honor her son. The campaign is #OnePillCanKill. The initiative will continue all week, sharing resources and information about the deadly drug. And Kansas Governor Laura Kelly announces the capacity for childcare in the state has increased by almost 7,000 since 2022. This expansion includes licensed daycare homes, group daycare homes, preschools, child care centers, and school-age and drop-in programs. Earlier this summer, Governor Kelly announced funding awards to 52 statewide organizations to create new sustainable licensed child care slots across the state. Provider applications have also increased by 433% in less than a year.
We've still got our alert day today. Excessive heat warnings, heat index values up to 120, highs upper 90s, lower 100s. We stay hot as we head into the evening and warm through the overnight, back into the upper 70s, lower 80s. Triple digits, dangerous heat all the way through at least Thursday into Friday of this week. And then by this weekend, things look a lot better. Temperatures come down upper 80s, lower 90s, and we see some shower and thunderstorm chances Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And we'll hold on to upper 80s and lower 90s as we head into the next work week. So we just got to get from here to there, and we'll get some relief in the area.
Sounds good. Well, even if you normally go with half and half, you might want to try using almond milk in your coffee this Tuesday.
Why? Well, because Tuesday is World Plant Milk Day. It is observed every year on August the 22nd. And the goal is to encourage consumers to use more milk from plants and learn more about plant-based milk's nutritional value.
And you're probably familiar with the more commonplace forms of plant milk, such as milk derived from almonds, coconuts, oats, and soy. But there are other plants that render milk as well, including hemp, quinoa, cashews, and flaxseed. A recent study shows that 38% of American households have some variation of plant-based milk in their fridge.
Yeah, some of those on that list I was unaware.
Almond milk is great and very few calories, so highly
It is
recommend
not
that.
bad at all, but I did not know you could get cashew. Well, cashews make milk. I don't know necessarily you can buy it, but
You milk cashews. You milk them.
you. All I can think about is that one scene. So
I know.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking
I
about.
Greg, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for letting us put the good in your morning. We're going to go milk the field and be back with more news and weather today at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.